Saiful Habibullah Saipov, a 29-year-old Uzbekistan native who was living in New Jersey, is charged with providing material support to ISIS, violence and destruction of motor vehicles, said Junaid Kim, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Saipov appeared in federal court in a wheelchair and didn't enter a plea, a source at the U.S. Attorney's office told CNN. NYC terrorist was happy as he asked to hang ISIS flag in his hospital room. He killed 8 people, badly injured 12. Should get death penalty. The president tweeted late Wednesday night. Saipov told investigators he was inspired by Islamic State videos, in particular one showing ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. A federal criminal complaint states the suspect decided to conduct a truck attack to inflict maximum damage against civilians and that he specifically chose to strike on Halloween because he believed there would be more civilians on the street for the holiday. The complaint says he began planning an attack a year ago and decided 2 months ago to use a truck, officials said. One of Saipov's cell phones reviewed by law enforcement contained approximately 90 videos, many of which appear to be ISIS-related propaganda. The phone also had almost 4,000 images, many of which were ISIS propaganda, the FBI said in the complaint. New York City police work in Manhattan after a rental truck drove down a busy bicycle path and struck people on Tuesday, October 31. At least 8 people were killed in the incident, which is being investigated as terrorism, according to multiple law enforcement sources. A suspect is in custody. 5 Argentinian high school classmates, 2 young American men and a Belgian mother were identified as the victims, police said. President Donald Trump called Mayor Bill de Blasio and Governor Andrew Cuomo to offer any federal assistance needed. Trump tweeted. The suspect arrived in the U.S. as part of the Diversity Immigrant Visa Program, the Department of Homeland Security said. An Uzbek national is being questioned in connection with the attack, law enforcement sources say. The individual, previously identified as Mukamajwar Kadirov, may have pertinent information and is possibly an associate of suspect Saiful Saipov, one source says. Authorities said Saipov came to the U.S. legally in 2010. He allegedly drove a rented truck onto a well-trafficked bike path just blocks from the World Trade Center on Tuesday afternoon. 8 people were killed and more than a dozen injured as the truck carved a path of destruction through several blocks of Lower Manhattan. Saipov crashed the truck into a school bus, left the vehicle brandishing imitation firearms and was shot by police, officials said. He appears to have followed almost exactly to a T the instructions that ISIS has put out in its social media channels before, with instructions to their followers on how to carry out such an attack. John Miller, NYPD Deputy Commissioner for Intelligence and Counterterrorism, said at an earlier news conference. A handwritten document found near the scene had both Arabic and English text, and included the message that the Islamic State would endure. The complaint says. Saipov came to the U.S. from the Central Asian nation of Uzbekistan in 2010 on a diversity immigrant visa, according to the Department of Homeland Security. The Diversity Immigrant Visa Program awards up to 50,000 individuals per year a visa for a green card, which bestows permanent residency and is a path to citizenship. The visas are awarded randomly to those in select countries to promote immigration from places that don't otherwise send many immigrants to the U.S. The bill establishing the program was signed into law in 1990. NYPD's Miller said Saipov has never been the subject of an NYPD or FBI investigation, but investigators are looking into how he is connected to the subjects of other investigations. The evidence shows, and again, it's only several hours, and the investigation is ongoing, but that after he came to the United States is when he started to become informed about ISIS and radical Islamic tactics, Cuomo said. Saipov was not on any U.S. government terror watch lists, according to 2 sources familiar with the investigation. Just over 6 months ago, Saipov began driving for Uber in New Jersey, the company told CNN. He passed a background check. The company said it has not yet identified any complaints about his safety. He had multiple run-ins with law enforcement in several states, online records show. He had traffic citations issued in Maryland, Missouri and Pennsylvania and was arrested by the Missouri State Highway Patrol in October 2016 after failing to show up in court for a misdemeanor offense. He paid a $200 bond, which he forfeited when he didn't show up in court for his next hearing in November. A guilty plea was entered on his behalf. Saipov's wife has spoken with investigators, law enforcement officials said. Saipov,